Welcome back to Intentional Youth Ministry. So glad you've joined us today. Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about student leadership and why I think it's so valuable, but also how I think sometimes we don't really use student ministry or think about student ministry in the right context or through the right lens. And so I want to talk to you a little bit today about that. So student leadership to me is one of the greatest wins that we have when it comes to church and youth ministry. I think back to years ago when we first started developing student leadership, and I was privileged and fortunate to have some pastors and leaders, mentors in my life over the years who really valued this idea of raising up young people to lead. And so I kind of took that and ran with it. And so from the early years on, I began to develop student leaders. I remember starting a middle school worship team years ago, literally with middle school students. And now literally, whatever it has been, 12, 15 years later, we have some of those same young people who could barely sing a note or barely strum a chord on a guitar, who are now worship leaders. They're on staff leading worship from our main platforms and on staff at other churches as worship leaders. I think about some of the young people that we've raised up who we gave an opportunity to MC or to lead a small group, who are now youth pastors and small group pastors and things of that nature. And so I wholeheartedly believe in student ministry. It is a huge passion of mine. I believe in empowering and raising up the next generation. I do believe that we need to be intentional with how we empower and how we develop people, which I believe I talk about in another episode. So make sure you check that one out on empowerment. But what I want to focus on today is this element of student leadership, and that is this. What are you doing with your student leaders? What are you doing with your student leaders? In other words, how are you utilizing them? I see oftentimes churches who are like, oh yeah, hey, this is a great idea. Let's start student leadership. But student leadership really becomes a thing where we just have students doing tasks within our services or ministry, right? So, hey, whatever your context is, maybe for you, those students are just doing task-oriented things for you, right? So you assign them to do things. At our church, we have a whole check-in process, right? And so we have check-in systems and computers and a database where students have to check in before they come into the environment. And so a lot of times, we'll put those student leaders on that, so they're running these check-in screens, or we'll put them at the doors, holding doors open, saying hi to kids as they come in, or whatever that is for you, right? But we assign them to task-specific things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I would encourage you to think about student leadership, take a step back, and see students from kind of a bigger, higher-up perspective. See student leaders as young people that you are developing to one day replace you. If you start thinking about your student leaders that way, you'll be more intentional with how you invest in them and how you empower them. So maybe for you, it has been more task heavy with the things that you have your students doing, but I'd encourage you, start giving them more opportunities to actually lead. Give them opportunities to come up, the student who has potential to be a communicator, bring them up on the platform with you. I'm not saying to throw them out there by themselves, bring them up on the platform with you. Let them co-MC with you on a youth service and get that experience. Students who are great relationally and connecting and maybe teaching, pull them in, same thing, let them co-lead in a small group environment with one of your adult leaders so that ultimately you can have them leading a small group themselves. Give them an opportunity to be on the platform singing or leading or playing from an instrument. Give them an opportunity to preach. I started something years ago where we would pull up students on the platform, and I would kind of host it, and I would have like 3 or 4 students, and they would each do a 5-minute message. And I would give them each like 5 minutes, and they would do like a 5-minute little mini message kind of thing for those ones that I saw that potential in to be communicators. And can I tell you, when you give students that opportunity, what starts to happen is it will exponentially grow your student ministry, because now your student leaders aren't just going, oh yeah, like I'm a student leader. Well, and what does that mean? Oh yeah, like I hold a door open, or I check a kid in, or I fill out a new connection card for a student when they come in. No, like, I'm there and I'm up there and I MC and I help lead worship and I help lead a small group and I get to invest in students, and I'm there and I'm connecting with the new kids who are coming in for the first time. That's another great way that we should be utilizing our student leaders. Your outgoing ones, your relational ones, have them connecting with new students who are coming into your environments so that those new students feel like they're welcome and that they're a part and that they can connect, and they've actually made some kind of a friendship or a relational connection while they're at your service or in your youth environment. So again, I hope this encourages you. There's a lot of things we could talk about when it comes to student leadership, but today I wanted to focus predominantly on this idea of don't just give student leaders tasks and functional things to do, but actually start empowering them and giving them ownership of your student ministry. You'll see incredible things happen growth-wise in your student ministry, but also you'll be raising up the next generation of pastors and leaders who will make an impact in the kingdom. Take care, guys, and we'll see you next time.